Well, initially we knew that supporting decisions was something we wanted to do as a group, and we picked an area that we thought would be worthwhile to pursue. And we had one urologist, and he was new to the clinic, and so I was coming at him with, here's a new idea of how you could do things differently. And this was a pretty successful provider who was very popular and did a good job. But he had an openness to thinking about doing things differently. But he was a little bit skeptical of, do I really need to change? And so we developed the project and talked about how to implement using decision support in his practice. And as we went through doing that and got the program up and running, when you get about a month or two into a program, there's this kind of watershed moment where people are starting to really do it. And I was, not completely sure how he thought it was going. And one day I got a telephone call and there was a voicemail and it was from him. And I was fearful that it was going to be the, I don't like this, I don't want to do this voicemail, we need to stop. But instead, it was Tom saying, I really love this. This is great. It's making my visits more effective, more efficient. I'm really feeling like the patients are getting a lot out of using these decision aids. And as he recognized that it was giving a lot of value to his practice, his enthusiasm went way up. And so he became just an ardent supporter of the concept and the value in it. And his reaction was, I want to do more. What about some other things that we could do this with? And so that was a really exciting moment for me. We work in our own little world, and our clinic is just an average clinic in a small town. And as we've worked on helping people with decisions, other people have heard what we've done and will ask us to come explain and tell us what we're doing. And that's something that, as a provider, that's a takeaway, because you have to miss work to go talk with somebody else, and you're busy and you want to spend time with your family. And so the provider who we've been working with in urology, he was always a little bit reticent about doing that, just because he knew it was a lot of time and effort. And so we got an invitation for someone to come talk in Buffalo, New York, far away. And my initial reaction to the invitation was, Tom's going to say no, because it's too much time. But I sent him off the email, and lo and behold, he surprised me again and was really enthusiastic about wanting to share the message of the value of this and help other people learn about how important it is. And so he wants to pursue that if it's possible, because I think he realizes how much of a benefit it is, and so he wants to share that with other people. I think you have to be respectful of the fact that people have been working pretty hard doing the work that they're doing, and that change is difficult for them. And that when you come to talk about something, it is a change, and you're asking them to do something different. And where you can motivate them to see change as valuable is in that it helps them make their job easier and better. And so as a basic strategy, we try to show that we're not trying to change you because we think you're bad. We're trying to change you because we think we can help you we can make your life easier and make something better for our patients. And when the message is we're trying to help the patients and help make their experience better, that's something that everybody wants. And it's not criticism, but rather an enhancement to what you're already doing. And as you share with people the experience that other providers who've done it have, then they're more willing. And so sharing that benefit then makes it a kind of a downhill slide into other people wanting to buy in because they recognize that it's a worthwhile thing to do. And I think the biggest piece is trying to make sure that people feel like they really kind of know and understand what you're trying to do, because sometimes their reaction to not wanting to change is because it's something different, and if they learn about it, then all of a sudden it becomes less threatening. Well, we have seen that one of the things that really helps is when the patients feel engaged and involved in the process. And part of what we need to do to help them feel that way is create a little bit of an expectation that, hey, you need to know about this in order to decide what to do. And you know, that idea that you have to kind of learn about this and do some homework in order to make a good decision is something that maybe people aren't necessarily used to. They're sort of used to, well, I'll give you the options in 3 minutes and then you pick and then we go. And when you tell them you have time to make this choice, you need to think about what your options are, and you need to learn about this so that when you come back to talk to the specialist, or you come back to talk to your primary care provider about what to do, you'll be ready to actually have a conversation about what your preferences and values are, rather than trying to learn facts in a short window of time. Then it makes the whole conversation richer and more effective. And so we've tried pretty hard to help people understand that they have a role to play in this and they need to do their homework. Well, you know, when people are faced with change, there are basically kind of two strategies that you can look at about how you're going to put that change into play. And one strategy is to think of it as a technical fix that you're going to make to a problem. And the strategy of a technical fix, if I need to wake up in the morning and get to work on time, I'll set an alarm clock. And that will be something that I know will work reliably. It's a systematic thing that's proven will go off at 6:30 in the morning. And then that should wake me up and I should get to work on time. But what we all know is that technical fixes are easy to put into place. It's easy to buy an alarm clock, but it's also very easy to hit the snooze button and avoid the change that you really need to make, because there's other factors that play a role. And the other way of looking at change is what's called adaptive change, where you look at what your behaviors are and kind of why you're trying to make the change, and how does what's important to you relate to whether or not the change is really happening. And so if what's important to me is staying up at night reading my book, and I stay up past my bedtime, then it's a lot harder for me to get up on time in the morning. And the meeting that I want to go to, if I really don't want to be there, it's a lot easier for me to hit the snooze button in my alarm clock. And that experience that you have with hitting the snooze button, you do that in your life all the time with much more difficult forms of change. And so you can want to lose weight, but if you like how your donut tastes in the morning more than you want to lose weight, you're not going to change the real fundamental behavior until you address that difference. And that's the biggest challenge in change, is that technical change is easy to implement, but also easy to undermine. And adaptive change is hard to do, but really once you do it and you maintain it, then eventually it's much more sustainable. It just takes a lot more work.